What if I told you a homeowner in Chicago's West Lawn area sold their brick Georgian for $210,000? And just a few months later, after nothing more than paint and carpet, it resold for tens of thousands more. No gut rehab, no new kitchen, no finished basement, just paint, carpet, and a big price jump. Stay with me to the end because I'm going to show you exactly what happened, and then you can decide if the seller made the right call. Today we're looking at a classic brick Georgian in Chicago's West Lawn neighborhood. This was a very typical home for the area. Built in 1946, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, just over 1,000 square feet. Basement was still unfinished. Nothing unusual, nothing distressed from what we can see in the photo. Just a standard, solid Chicago brick Georgian. Now, on October 24th, the homeowner sold it to one of these We Buy As Is for Cash companies for $210,000. So the big question, why do sellers take these offers? Now let's pause here because this is important. Most sellers who go this route aren't careless. Maybe they're overwhelmed. Maybe they don't want showings. They don't want to clean out the basement. They could be worried about repairs. They want speed and certainty, and these companies promise exactly that. Fast closing, no repairs, no hassles. But they also say fair price. I don't agree with that. And to some, convenience matters. But convenience always has a price tag. So, what did the investor do? Because now here's where it gets interesting. The investor closed in late October. Then, on January 8th, just over 2 months later, they listed the property for $314,900. Let's talk about what they did to justify that over $100,000 price jump. From the photos and the listing remarks, they painted the interior, installed new carpeting in the bedrooms. That's it. No kitchen remodel, no new bathrooms, basement still unfinished. Okay, let's do some math, but not all of it yet. The purchase price was $210,000. List price in January, $314,900. That's over $100,000 spread in about 75 days. Now, obviously, they had holding costs, they had commissions, they paid closing costs. But we're not even at the final number yet. Because here's the part that really matters. It went under contract in just 12 days. So they didn't really have much holding cost time. With that going under contract in just 12 days, that tells us something very important. The market supported a much higher value than $210,000. Now, you could see from the photos, the kitchen, nothing was done. You could see the paint that they painted, okay? You could see new carpet. The hardwood floors that were there are existing. I'm assuming the carpeting in the bedroom was because those hardwood floors were not in the best of shape. So here's the question I always ask when I break these down. If the home sold in 12 days at the higher price, would it have sold at a strong price the first time if it had been properly marketed instead of sold off market to an investor? Because here's what didn't happen. The original seller didn't get multiple offers, open market exposure, competitive bidding, a chance to test the actual true value of the property. They got one offer, and when you only get one offer, you never really know what your home was worth. This report here shows what the market trends were for West Lawn area in Chicago for single family homes. It was definitely a seller's market, and the median sold price was $264,900. All right, here's what it actually sold for. After listing at $314,900, it closed for $300,000. Pause for a second now and let that sink in. Because what's the difference? The original seller received $210,000. Investor resale $300,000. That's a $90,000 difference. Now subtract investor commissions, paint and carpet, holding costs. Let's even be really conservative and say the investor cleared somewhere in the $60,000 to $70,000 range for paint and carpet and market exposure. The even bigger point isn't about shaming sellers. This is about information and informing sellers. Because if you're thinking, I just want it easy, I don't want to deal with buyers, I don't want to fix anything, you need to know what that convenience might cost you. And a lot of those things that you maybe wouldn't want to do, your realtor usually takes care of it for you. In this case, potentially tens of thousands of dollars were lost. And this wasn't a distressed tear down. It was a solid 1946 brick Georgian in a stable Chicago neighborhood. And that matters. In areas like West Lawn, West Elsden, Ashburn, brick homes with good bones are in high demand, even if they need cosmetic updates. Buyers today, they'll take dated, they'll take unfinished basements, they'll even take original kitchens. What they won't take is not having a chance to compete. So if you're even thinking about selling, especially here in Chicago, please do one thing first. Find out what your home would sell for on the open market. Not what an investor will offer in your living room. Not what someone tells you in a postcard, and not what a cash buyer says over the phone. Get real data. Get real exposure. Get real options. Because once you sign that contract, there's no going back. And as this West Lawn seller learned, paint and carpet can be very expensive if someone else is the one making the profit. If you want me to analyze your property before you make a decision, reach out. I'll break down the numbers honestly so you can decide what's best for you. I mainly specialize on the northwest side of Chicago, but came across this one in the West Lawn neighborhood. And if you like these real case studies, subscribe because I have a lot more coming. I want to make sure sellers out there are making informed decisions.